Alrighty, we are off to a great start. Welcome everyone to today's masterclass. Fantastic session ahead. Really looking forward to today's guest list of speakers. We've got a great topic ahead of us today. Thank you very much for everyone who's attending today. We've, as always, with our technical masterclasses, we get the community to help drive the topics and what we want to talk about. We've carefully selected today's topic based on your feedback, and as with the success of previous masterclasses, it's helped us to obviously grow and enable our partner ecosystem. So yeah, really looking forward to today's session. Let's jump right into the agenda. We've got, like I said, an amazing lineup of speakers. We've got from our product leaders, Ilya Buchstein, and also Irina Andanova, and they're going to be giving us a view from the flight deck, giving us insight into the future of Teams Rooms and what it means for obviously this new world of AI that we're living and breathing at the moment. So really excited to have them leading the charge here, kicking us off today with today's session. Shortly after Irina and Ilya, we've got Henrika Lim, who leads our digital signage practice, and talking about how we are evolving and just recently launched, just last week, we've launched digital signage and taking us through a demonstration of that as well. And also Eugene as well. She's going to be taking us through collaborative experiences with Teams Rooms, everything around whiteboarding and understanding how you can use whiteboarding and help our customers leverage whiteboarding, both walk up whiteboard during a meeting and understanding all those collaboration experiences as well. So without further ado, we'll kick off and welcome the amazing Ilya and Irina up onto the stage and kick us off with today's topic. You guys are welcome to take access to the slides and take control, but I'll hand it over to you.
Very much, Higgsy. How are things there?
It's great down here. It's nice and warm. It's a lovely. It's in Celsius, but it's about 32 degrees here. How are things over in the US?
Can't wait to talk about meeting rooms with everybody there. This is actually one of my favorite things I get to do now for a couple of years, because Australia is just such a fantastic market for Teams Rooms adoption. We have so many great customers there with large deployments. So first, I just want to start by thanking everyone who has deployed Teams Rooms, who's helped us reach the milestone we talked about a little while ago of crossing over 1 million Teams Rooms, and who is using Teams and betting their business and their new world of work on Teams. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me go ahead and start by just introducing myself and introducing Irina again. My job has changed a little bit since the last time I did this presentation. So I have the privilege of leading a number of areas within Teams. Calling, which is Teams working as a cloud PBX, if you will, the Teams phone product. Devices, which includes Teams Rooms and everywhere else where we do purpose-built experiences for Teams on a particular device category, or we connect to devices to enable richer functionality, also certification. And then we call it premium experiences because I'm not very creative with names. That stands for Teams events. So town hall, webinar, also Teams Premium and the capabilities that are in that offering, as well as most recently Mesh. So all of the experiences that are sort of premium experiences on the Teams platform. And with me is actually one of the original 3 co-creators of Teams Rooms and the person responsible for our code name that still lives on, Project Rigel, and that's Irina.
Everyone, very nice to meet you folks. First time speaking to this group, but not the first time speaking to friends in Australia. I'll have to visit as well some of these days. Thank you for your support. And as Ilya said, I've been around the business for a while. I was on Ilya's team working with Ilya and Albert years ago to create what now is an MTR. Today, my role is leading the product team for Teams Rooms as well as Teams device management. So anything to do with pro management, tag for Teams Admin Center for devices, That's from a product perspective on my team. And yes, hello to New Zealand as well.
Yeah, who can forget New Zealand? It was on my list of countries I was researching moving to just earlier today.
Fantastic.
Just to give you a sense of how long we've been at this, we were just talking about the journey. I actually recognize Irina's profile picture. That was from the old building.
Yes, I should probably update my profile picture.
So that was when we were all in the Skype organization and came up with this idea of, what's going to be next after Link Room Systems. So it's been an amazing, amazing journey for us. But right now feels like a unique moment in time in that journey because of the two significant trends that are coming together. And that is, of course, flexible work or hybrid work, whatever you want to call it, and this massive change in our industry and technology around AI. And that has continued to evolve, even just in the last half year, from being two separate forces, if you will, to really AI becoming a foundational ingredient in both how we work and in determining where we work. In other words, the change that we just went through is a lot more flexibility, variable by company, by country, but overall, a lot more flexibility in where we work. AI now is not only helping us make smarter choices about that, but it's also changing what we do and how we do it when we decide to work from a given location. Now, talking about flexible work a little bit more, we're still in that flexible work journey. And I want to make sure I emphasize that from our perspective, we are not done sort of with figuring out what flexible work really means. So what we're seeing is vast majority of workers actually now do come into the office at least one day a week. Some offices are actually getting overutilized, but they're overutilized on a specific day or days, and overall, 65% of office space remains underutilized. Now, I'm actually, most of my life from Canada, we call this the hockey rink problem. We call it that because hockey rinks don't tend to get, or ice rinks, I should say, there's more than just hockey, they don't tend to get used very much during the day, but then there's absolutely no time either before school and work or after school and work. And so you look at it and you say, oh, we've got plenty of space in the rink as long as you're willing to come in at 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning. And that's kind of the problem we're now having with office space. Overall, there's plenty of office space, just not if you want to be there on Tuesday at 10 in the morning. And with that, you get an optimization challenge. And that's the left side of the slide. The people that are coming into the office are having a really hard time getting the most value out of that time in the office because they need to be able to orchestrate how others come in, where they are. In other words, the reason you invest, for most, not all, but most people, the reason you invest in a commute is to collaborate. It's for me to see Irina and be in the signature room that we're in together. It's for us to have our leadership team meeting together. Today, we coordinate that manually. It's the least sort of AI-driven thing we do. But we think AI can help with this as well. So as we think forward about optimizing where and how we work, modernizing the spaces that we have, and making sure that every meeting space fits the needs of workers and honestly provides an experience that's worth coming in for. And then really monitoring and gaining insight from all of that and driving efficiency. We think the AI wave is really going to be just immensely important in what we do. So the future of rooms, coming back to the start, is AI-powered modern communications that is all about helping us all decide where we work and how we work. With that, I'll hand it to Irina to give you a few specifics.
Thank you, Leo. And by the way, I'm watching the chat, and there's audience from all over the world, so thank you. And this is really, really awesome. I'd love to see who is from Antarctica. That's an interesting place. But thank you. So to kind of pick up where Ilya left, our team is kind of the team at Microsoft that thinks about experiences in physical spaces. And as Ilya was describing, people are coming into the office or they're working from home or remote. What our vision is how to make sure that this collaboration that happens between whether people are in the office or remote is done in such a way that enables everybody to be seen, to be heard, to be recognized. And how we can utilize AI to help us on the vision that we have of kind of bridging this gap between the remote attendees and the attendees in the room. So I'm going to step through a few examples of how we're kind of like think of them as breadcrumbs towards the vision of inclusive collaboration environment, regardless of your location and how you collaborate or have your meetings. Some of these things I'll touch upon are features that we have already released or we are on the path we may have announced and we have in the works. As you see here, kind of the first example I have is IntelliFrame with intelligent cameras. We still have across the world probably very many rooms where if you're remote, all you can see from the room is just one view of the whole room. And if there are more people in the room, good luck figuring out who sits where, who said what, and so forth. So with intelligent cameras and IntelliFrame, we kind of planted the flag of providing better view of what happens in the room. With this technology, we can provide a room view, we can provide individual tiles, recognize the attendees, or have an active speaker. Then, kind of moving forward with the breadcrumbs towards our vision, the next step was, well, we can bring similar technology to pretty much any camera. So IntelliFrame, or Cloud IntelliFrame as we call it, is a technology that is built on Microsoft AI models based on recognition of a best head pose, face recognition of how we can take the attendees in the room and help create a composition view where everyone has their own dedicated tile. If they have enrolled their profile, then we can have a name label, similarly to intelligent cameras. So kind of building on the next step of what we can do with AI. What we are working on right now is, all right, well, let's take it one step further. How, if we know what is the best head pose, what is the best view of Irina speaking, instead of showing me sideways or from some angle, if I have my camera on my laptop, there's smarts, there's AI based on the models we have that can figure out, hey, it's probably better to switch to Irina's laptop camera and show that view versus showing some kind of side or angle view for me. So that is something that we're working on, kind of again, building these breadcrumbs of what AI, or expanding the skills of what AI can do. The next technology that we're building, or the next kind of set of skill sets, when you have higher impact rooms, bigger rooms, let's say you have a boardroom or you have a multi-purpose room, showing one small view of the room or one view of the whole room is usually not very useful. Like we hear people are saying, hey, Satya is presenting, really is presenting. They want to focus on the presenter. They want to have the remote attendees want to see the presenter, or they may want to see the audience. So we should give them that option. So this multi-camera view selection is exactly that, like allowing the remote attendees to select the best view so they can view closer to the attendees in the room, and we can have this inclusive collaboration. So these are just few examples that kind of show you what we are doing from a video technology, bringing AI and bridging the gap between the physical room and the remote attendees. Now, when we have talked a lot about Copilot as Microsoft and AI as a Copilot and my personal assistant. Sometimes, I run late to a meeting. And if I run late to a meeting, catching up with what happened in the previous 10 minutes, it's kind of like, hey, I have to interrupt and be behind or interrupted. But what if instead I can ask Copilot to catch me up? That's awesome, and it can do that. But if you're sitting, if there is a discussion in the room, and Ilya and Irina were speaking, if speaker attribution, a technology that we have announced and actually deployed already, is not available, when I'm catching up with the transcript, all I'll see is room 123 said it was raining in Seattle. I don't know who said that. Later on, I can see room 123 said, oh, no, actually, no, it was sunny. But if our profiles are enrolled, I could actually, when I do my catch-up, I can see that Irina said it was sunny and Ilya disagreed and said it was rainy. So that is the power of enabling the productivity and enabling us to catch up and keep up with the technology and be a lot more productive. And of course, from Microsoft perspective, we will follow all privacy and protection policy for making sure that biometric data is encrypted and stored securely based on best practices. One more kind of capability that we have announced, and it's in progress. By the way, it is in private preview currently, coming up soon to a room near you. This is if oftentimes as people come in the office, Ilya and I may enter in the room and we're having a conversation and we're discussing a topic. Nobody's taking notes. There is no Copilot, there is no transcript. What if we can actually invite Copilot to capture this conversation, take notes, and then we can follow up on the action items and whatever other follow-ups we need to do. So the technologies that I described before with the speaker attribution, if we now have 3, 4, 5 people in the room having a local conversation in the physical room, we can invite Copilot. Copilot can follow up. We have notes. We can take actions. We bridge the gap. We took care of the experiences in the physical world. We're super excited about that. Again, something that is that we're working on as we speak.
And I have to say, by the way, this is one of the things I'm maybe most excited about. I think the stuff Irina showed and talked about in terms of far more engaging video, crucial, knowing who said what, fundamental in the world of AI. The ability to actually say every meeting space comes with its own facilitator, timekeeper, note taker, interpreter in the future. That to me changes how I think about the services of a space in terms of, takes it from lighting and heating to now video meetings to really every space comes with a built-in sort of MBA level meeting facilitator. So I think this is going to be really, really big for the future of modern meeting spaces.
I couldn't agree more, Ilya and Irina. I did a presentation last night with a distributor, and we highlighted just some of the capabilities that Team Copilot is going to be able to bring to the meeting room. And everyone's been loving, obviously, all the features around the AI capabilities of of Teams and how it's getting more intelligent from an audio and visual point of view. But productivity-wise, this is an absolute game changer. I'm equally as excited about Team Copilot and having the ability to have those conversations, have those meetings, and not worry about the technology. But all of a sudden, you've got this value add after that meeting. You simply walk into a room, you've got Copilot in the conversation, you have a conversation, you're getting deep into the weeds of that conversation, and then you walk away from that conversation with all this extra information around it, assigned, so meeting notes and obviously assigned tasks and so forth. And it's something that, is so much more than what a meeting is today. Having traditional video conferencing and being able to have a two-way conversation is one thing, but to have a meeting and have all these notes and all this extra data that you've got that you can process and work with is just such a great thing. And yeah, really looking forward to bring this feature to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ilya kind of answered with the ad hoc meetings. I just wanted to give you a color on why the QR code and what we are trying to kind of do. As you think about the physical space, we don't know who the users is. And if we want to associate or give you the transcript after the meeting, the transcript needs to go somewhere. It cannot live on the MTR. So that's why we use the QR code, at least initially, to authenticate the user. You can think that going down the road, you can see all these technologies kind. We have proximity join, we have speaker attribution through voice enrollment, face enrollment. We will start bringing this technology together to be smarter, to help recognize who the user is and kind of prompt them to accept. So we can make that what you asked for. Hey, can I just click on the console and invite the Copilot? Yes, you could. You just kind of have to authenticate somehow. So we have to figure that stuff and make it seem more seamless.
Beautiful.
Okay. So I basically, now I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about the management side and running these devices happy and healthy, and how we can use AI to do that. Because from an admin perspective, keeping the users happy is kind of like their primary goal as well. And our job is to enable the admins to be able to keep the devices up and running at all times. And we use AI. Pro Management Portal or Pro Management Service has had AI models for quite some time now, where this AI-driven platform operates kind of at the large tenant scale. We can see and monitor all devices which are enrolled. We can recognize patterns, and based on these patterns, we take actions. And the actions can be, hey, we identified XYZ problem. We notify the admin, or we can provide a recommendation of what the resolution might be. Or better yet, we actually the service makes a remediation. My vision and dream is to get to that last point to 100% as much as possible. Meaning like, hey, the service learns evolutionary and can remediate, barring any physical problems, but can remediate as 100% of the issues that might occur in the room. So that's where we kind of aspire to be. Again, Pro Portal, goal of running everything at all times, operating across multiple tenants, comes also with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. Customers have the ability to enroll their rooms in MDE or Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, which will, in today's day and age especially, it's very helpful from a threat protection perspective. And the next area where you could see AI also helping is in the area of correlating data and providing insights. And I'm just going to kind of show you one other skill. If you think of the AI skills that we're building in terms of insights, this is something that is coming up, is not quite yet available. Today, you will see reports. We show you usage, we show you utilization. Ilya talked about like, hey, we can't find a room if you come in the office on Tuesday during 10 o'clock. Well, that's an insight. So with these insights and actions, based on the data that we have, we can actually reason and provide these kinds of insights in terms of heat maps, or in terms of what is the actual utilization of the building or the floor, or however they want to segment the data, and also then provide actions. I mean, you can think of like, hey, the next step might be like, hey, the building is overbooked. We'll help you plan additional rooms, or could be some recommendation that goes even to the user, like, hey, these rooms on the third floor are booked. Maybe you can find the nearest room is in the first floor, and so forth. So this is kind of the level that we are thinking about of how we can leverage the insights that we gain from across all tenants and across the data that we have in pro management, and how we can leverage AI to kind of help us guide the conversation. So these are just few examples of things we are building and leveraging AI on the user side and on the admin side to kind of paint the picture and the direction that we're going on. And you can kind of fill in the blanks and think of like what else we could be doing. Like, yeah, we have whiteboards, we can ask questions, we can use LLMs. So all these things are areas where we're looking to expand how AI can help. So with that, I'm actually going to pause and leave you the opportunity to ask us questions.
And I know we're sort of at time, but Higgsy, totally up to you. We're happy to go a little long. I really want to make sure we can try to answer people's questions. Also want to respect your agenda. So whatever you would like.
Yeah, sure. Oh, for sure, Ilya. I have to say, between presenting today and obviously your activity in the chat, you're on fire at the moment, answering many of the questions, which has been really welcoming. I've been also monitoring the Q&A tab as well and been answering some questions there. I'll start off with one of the questions that we got from that tab, Ilya and Irina. What about privacy concerns potentially for some clients with state governments, for example, where topics are discussed with external organizations where a transcript or recording might breach policy?
Yeah, obviously we want to be incredibly sensitive to having the right compliance, the right admin policies to ensure privacy. So we are working on a set of premium features that will do things like invisible watermarking, audio watermarking, including policies that say do not enable transcription, do not enable, let's say, Copilot processing, right? So we're trying to say, hey, if there is not a policy, then we can enable capabilities such as Copilot that under the covers does processing, but it can work even without a formal transcription if the host doesn't start that. But if the host does set a privacy policy, then even if you have Copilot, we're going to respect that and not enable it to work. So we are working very hard across that, spectrum, if you will, of enabling both the right compliance and controls as part of Teams Premium, and when those are not restrictive, having your Copilot be able to function even when you're joining meetings and other tenants. By the way, just to answer a couple of those quickly, faster than I can type, when it says Copilot with built-in application that has a scanner, I think you were talking about scanning the QR code, and that is actually part of Teams. So you will be able to walk in, use your iPhone or Android mobile device camera, scan the QR code, and it'll go through the Teams app to identifying you to the room, so the Copilot on the MTR can know who you are and start generating a transcript to send to you.
It uses very similar technology, basically the same technology as a QR code used to join meetings. You know how if you use that, scan the QR code, pops on your mobile phone, which meeting you want to join, you join, and off you go. Yep. So this one just has a little bit of a different action that it takes.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
invite.
There's no way to authenticate you from a Teams Rooms device. So that's why we have to
Correct.
call out to your personal device, which is pre-authenticated. You are signed in, and that making it much easier.
Exactly right.
Yep.
We've got another question. Will Pro Portal MTM be getting remote access anytime soon, Irina?
What's
Multi-tenant management.
Got it.
So that is a privacy and a security challenge, because to remote access into the device on the other side, there's policies on the tenant that need to be allowed. And as a delegate, you may or may not have those policies enabled. And so therefore that has been the blocker. And by the way, could that be solved? I don't know. It's going to have a complex way of, I mean, I'm sure it probably could be solved, but it will have a complex and cumbersome way of authorizing it. And so that's where we're blocked on that.
Yeah, no, understood. Ilya, we've had this conversation a number of times, so we'll open up the question again around APIs and the Pro Management Portal. What are your thoughts on providing API access to the Pro Management Portal and Places backend data? This provides partners a way to create and tailor workplace experience solutions to our customers.
Yeah, I will honestly say that is not high on my list. I would much higher prioritize the opposite, which is integrating some of the services that OEMs provide into Pro Portal, so that you have a one-stop shop in Pro Portal that can go right down to the firmware and do more with every type of equipment. And all the OEMs have said they're open to that. The scenario of connecting from Pro Portal and being able to trigger actions in some other workflow, I understand that's a sort of a high-end custom room scenario, but it is a low volume scenario. And so it's really hard for us to prioritize higher.
I'll add just one other aspect of it. So in Pro Portal, we have this incidents view, and we have a ServiceNow integration, which is using the kind of like the plain vanilla Snow integration, which a lot of customers oftentimes run into some kind of challenges. And there is no other integrations, because we don't necessarily do custom integrations that come in at a very high cost. So what we are looking at enabling is, quote unquote, a webhook for these incidents where you can subscribe and listen. Today, the only way to get to the incidents is they send you an email. And we've done some work to have in the subject specific keywords which you can use and have some kind of parser do that. So we've heard that this is not ideal, get it? So we are really trying hard for this semester, don't promise, to fund what I call a webhook, so you can subscribe and listen to that webhook for these incidents.
Nice one.
So I
think
any MTR integration at this time for third-party AV controllers is a similar question.
Yeah.
APIs and the answer is no.
Well,
it's very similar.
Unless it is like the second page.
The flip on it. Which I think this is asking for the opposite.
Right.
If I'm understanding the question, you should feel free to tell me if I'm not. But yes, we have an extensibility model today where folks like Crestron can add a UX to MTR. It's an extensibility model. I'd like to frankly, it was something we did sort of super early days and haven't really put much more work into. So it's been on our backlog to rewrite that and modernize it. And it's still something we want to do. But the opposite of let MTR be controlled from somewhere else, that breaks one of our core tenets, which is this is Teams. Like one of the biggest differences from the VTC world for the million Teams rooms that are out there was always from day one, any user should walk into any Teams room and know instantly how to join the meeting and control it, because it looks and feels like Teams and like every other Teams room. Now, I will say right now, we're like a B+ on that, because we have differences between Android and Windows, and Irina's going to work to fix that. But I would not want to see us do anything that diverges further from that principle.
Wonderful. No, that's good. That's good. We've got quite a few more questions. I'll give it 5 more minutes for questions. So the quick one I've got here is front row layout was originally mentioned to have collaborative notes as a side pane. Is that going to be coming in lieu of like we've got raised hands and also we've got meeting chat on the sides now?
Yeah.
Are we going to have a loop component?
I mean, he didn't put a time frame. So
Yes.
Is it coming?
Right.
Yes, it's coming.
It's coming.
It is. Yes.
Work in progress. Okay, I love that. Awesome. The next one I've got here is security around securing the actual meeting room. So this is actually quite a long question. I'll see if I can summarize it easier. Particularly in places that have secure facilities where they've got CCTV and they've got access card readers and so forth that are obviously locking down these meeting spaces. Is Microsoft planning on a native application to support with MTR to satisfy, like locking mechanisms of the touch console so that only authorized people can actually unlock that device for it to be used? Like, the room is, you can't touch the device unless you've actually swiped in to actually use that room. It's third-party security controls, I guess.
No.
Not really.
No, not really. I mean, what I've heard customers usually do is kind of attach a badge reader to it and overlay that. I mean, I know this is not ideal, but we don't necessarily have anything planned that we can overlay on the Teams experience, which locks it down. I mean, there is a pin code that currently exists, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to understand more about why that's needed on top of physical security.
Agreed.
Like if the room reader, I worry, we used to have something like this on Surface Hub, and it was one of the biggest sources of dissat because basically someone would create a locked meeting and then the pin code specific to that meeting would be lost somewhere in your inbox, and like meetings would start 10-15 minutes late while somebody dug around for that. And so again, it kind of breaks our principle of meetings should start in seconds instead of minutes. I understand it's valid for some cases, but I'd rather say the physical space should be secured and we shouldn't slow down once you're in the space, the UX if possible.
I tend to agree. I mean, if you think about it, if that space is secure and you don't have any meetings scheduled on that device, if that space is secure, you could take it one step further, say, yeah, this room can't be booked. You have to swipe card in, but you can have meetings booked on your phone and use the QR code to add that meeting room to your your scheduled meeting through the process that we mentioned before. It's an authenticated meeting, and yeah, there's other workflows that you can complement this feature.
Yep.
All right, so the last question I've got here is how will Microsoft Places and Teams Rooms be converging together? Will we see unique features of Teams Rooms Pro work hand in hand with Microsoft Places? Example, whilst booking a meeting in Outlook, Microsoft Places or Copilot pops up and suggests the meeting rooms and spaces near you just automatically that are available and the technology that's in the room. We kind of have that but it's more of a manual process today of being able to look up those rooms. Yeah,
so at a high level, we are going to be doing tons together. Microsoft Places is part of Teams Premium. So it is a set of capabilities that we think of as being in Teams, because really that's where a lot, as well as of course in Outlook and Calendar, and there's a Places app in Teams. But the main areas where we try to figure out where we're working and set location and so forth, like that's all in Teams. So we're working pretty closely with that team as the Teams organization to integrate presence everywhere and make sure it's super well integrated throughout the UX people already use, but also to connect signals and insights so that room utilization and desk utilization. If you remember, we announced you can now track a desk just when you plug in your Teams client into even a monitor. We can generate a signal if enough people do that to say it's a shared desk. So all of that is, in fact, going to be integrated with Places. And yes, we will have Copilot skills and capabilities based on that. Without getting into details of kind of what is enabled by which license, absolutely, we're going to have the ability to say, hey, Copilot, go ahead and find the space for me. Or, you know what, keep an eye on this meeting, and if something changes, find me a different space. Like if I say tomorrow I'm working from building 4 instead of building 3, we should be smart enough to know that, well, you wouldn't want to walk back to the other building for a meeting. Let me just reschedule it for you. So yes, we will have all of those capabilities across Teams, Places in Teams, and then Copilot as well. By the way, I'll just mention on the mesh experience, we are absolutely looking at using mesh technologies for some of what I've mentioned. So our goal with mesh is actually to take some of the amazing tech that team has built and apply it much more broadly within Teams. We think about this as sort of 2.5D. You don't necessarily need a full 3D environment. You can absolutely have it, but making your Teams meetings and spaces richer using the same technology, makes it more immersive, puts it on that spectrum of how immersive it is. And so one of the examples I gave in chat is right now I'm staring at all of you as flat images on a black background. Better than what we had before, where each of you had your own background. But boy, it could be better yet, because this camera knows the environment Irina and I are in, and we can capture that and create a background for all of you. And we can actually make the already size normalized heads that we see somewhat volumetric. So when you turn, it looks and feels more natural. So we think there's a ton more that we can do now that we're sort of one team leveraging the technologies that team is building.
I'm all for making my head smaller, Ilya. So yeah, if you right size my head, I'll be really happy.
That already happens. I don't know if you know that or not. We do that in Front Row to the best of our ability. But yes, we do. We head size optimization already in Front Row.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Well, I'll have to say thank you very much, Ilya. Thank you, Irina, for your wonderful insights. I think the community here that are on this call today, key takeaways are that obviously that AI is basically the core of our engineering at the moment of building those best experiences for our customers. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you all on, and obviously the questions keep on flooding through. So I appreciate you guys for keeping them coming. Any last words from either of you before we hand over to Henrika?
Well, I just want to say thank you all again. I already see more questions. Yes.
And yes to the last one. We would like that too. It is in the backlog. Yes.
So I just want to say again, thank you to all of you. The suggestions you have show, and the questions, just how engaged and important you are for, again, the massive amounts of deployments we have. And I just want to share, I think we're at best only 10% done. There are 10 million meeting rooms in Microsoft 365 customers that we know are getting scheduled and therefore should have Teams rooms. So here's to the next million and millions and 9 million at least together. Thank you again, and stay connected, please.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. With you.
Thanks, team. Thank you very much. Alrighty, I'll call up onto the stage now. Henrika, are you on the line?
Yes, I am here.
Thank you for joining us, Henrika, all the way across, not too far away from many of us over in the Philippines, I understand.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, super exciting.
Well, we've got a great session today, Henrika. I've got a very obviously involved audience as well. If you want to take control, beautiful, and progress us to the next slide. Welcome. Get a quick introduction about yourself, and let's jump right into talking about digital signage.
For sure. Yeah, great to see everyone here. I am excitedly joining from Manila, Philippines as well. So very much with the community on joining from Asia. So my name is Henrika. I'm a product manager with the Teams Rooms team, and I am working on home screen and ambient screen experiences, including digital signage, as well as some of the Teams meetings features. So without further ado, I will proceed with the slides. So Teams Rooms digital signage is really a way for customers and many of us to make our rooms more engaging. It is a way for us to show timely and relevant information in our conference rooms when they are not in use for meetings or presentations. So a really great way to help customers maximize their hardware investments instead of the rooms just being idle when they are not in use for meetings. We can now present really engaging content to connect to employees within the organization. So some of the great use cases here would be showcasing company news, workplace updates, any reminders or required learning. It's also a great way to present employee recognition, upcoming events, or how to use the room, and other feature education. There is a as many of you know, we already have custom background as a feature supported today. And this is just a small comparison of how we've really hit it up a notch with digital signage. So with custom background, we've heard loud and clear from the community and from customers that the whole XML deployment is really painful, which makes it really hard to update custom backgrounds in Teams rooms. But so with digital signage, we really made sure that from the get-go, there is no XML configuration required, and you will be able to remotely and at scale deploy digital signage through the Teams Rooms Pro Management portal. One improvement as well would be for custom background. Obviously, there's only one static image that can be supported at a time, but for digital signage, there can be a host of multimedia content that can be presented in rotation, and it just makes the room a lot livelier and more engaging. And because digital signage is much easier to update and can have multiple content at the same time, it is really suitable to have a mix of timely and timeless information there. So instead of just having the regular IT support information posted up the room, you can have events and reminders, as now it is very easy to update the content and change it whenever necessary.
I just want to echo that, Henrika. It's just how simple and easy this is. I was dipping my toe in the, well, jumping in the deep end with this just yesterday, and I wanted to get digital signage onto my Teams Rooms on Windows device, and I gave myself an hour to learn and understand how it all works, and literally within 5 minutes it was already working on my Teams Rooms device. It was that simple. And I know we're going to talk about the whole deployment process today, but the uplift of like visually, like you get so much more out of, like, so much more information. The static images are great, the branding is fantastic with customized backgrounds, but this really just elevates the look and feel of those meeting rooms. You know, getting I've got it showing here in the background here, having like a video that plays, or it cycles through different content pieces, having the weather show up, or, you know, even news events, etc. You know, there is so many great things that you can basically elevate that look and feel of that room.
Exactly. Yes, that's really the goal, is to make the room more engaging than what it is pre-digital signage. Okay, and then this is a preview of what our signage mode looks like. And we not only did we make our admin experience as intuitive and as simple as possible, but also the end user experience as well. So as you can see here, this is what we call our signage mode, and signage would fill the front of room display with content, but at the same time, we have this Teams Rooms banner on top as an overlay to make sure that users remain aware for the context of the room. So we have this banner, and the banner shows the room name, the time, the date, as well as a preview of the calendar. So then even when there is an upcoming meeting, users are reminded that, hey, if they're thrilled and they are really engaged with the content, that they are reminded that, hey, it's time for you to join your meeting, and all you need to do is to tap the screen of the console, and you're back in the home screen experience and with access to the one-touch join in the calendar.
Yeah, so we can set timeouts, right? We can set how
Yes.
long you want. So you obviously touch the screen, it goes back to the way it was and everything. But then obviously having those deactivation time is critical. You can actually define, do you want it to just? It's like having a screensaver almost. How long do you want the room to be sitting at idle before it goes across and kicks into digital signage, and then walk back into the room, and then obviously the system wakes up again when you touch the console and goes back to that normal experience.
Yes, exactly. That's a good segue to the next slide, which is we've also built customizations for signage mode, recognizing that there's various needs and preferences within different organizations. So there is a way to adjust the activation and deactivation timers. So for activation, you can say how many minutes a device has been idle for before digital signage would kick in, and how many minutes before a meeting starts. Before digital signage would automatically deactivate. So it's really a fine balance. When we were designing this feature, we've heard very different perspectives on this. So for other customers, they've said that they really want the deactivation timer to be as low as possible. And the reason being is, if you set your devices to have digital signage deactivate, let's say 3 minutes or 5 minutes before a meeting starts. On one hand, it is with 3 to 5 minutes before a meeting starts, that is the critical moment where users would flood in the room. So then we have customers who say like, okay, why would we want to deactivate signage at the time when users are walking in the room? So they actually would not prefer to deactivate digital signage so that when users walk in the room before their meeting, they are able to catch up on the content that's being presented. So it's really interesting. But we also hear customers say that one-touch join is super critical for them, and they want, when users walk in the room, they see the join link right away and be able to join the meeting from the calendar. So it's really very interesting. So we've allowed customization on signage mode for each organization to determine what's best for them. But as you can see here, if you look at the touch console, we've also designed the signage mode experience so that the same familiar home screen interface